I want to play my Gibson SG Junior. We're going to find out if this is any good. This video isn't like other videos out there, you know, where they talk for like 7.5 minutes and only play the guitar for like a minute, maybe a minute and a half. It's going to be a whole heck of a lot of playing. There's still going to be a lot of talking. We're also going to be doing a few comparisons with similar guitars. And as always, the signal chain is listed in the description down below, along with chapter markers. So if you want to skip around, you can do that. But enough talking. Let's get after it. So you can't do a review on YouTube unless you talk about the specs, right? So I'm going to try and do that quickly, and then we'll get back to more sound samples. So you do have a gloss nitrocellulose finished mahogany SG-shaped and carved body. You also have a slim taper mahogany neck with an unbound rosewood fretboard that has the dot inlays. On the front of the headstock is where you will find the silkscreen Gibson logo and nothing else unless you're a nerd like me and you get a Les Paul truss rod cover. On the back of the headstock is where you're going to find the vintage deluxe Gibson tuners. However, they are not the vintage sizing, so if you want to swap these out for a modern type size tuner, you can do so. We have a master volume and a master tone, both of which are the audio taper Gibson branded CTS potentiometers, hand soldered with an orange drop capacitor. That controls the single dog-eared P90, and we also have the lightning bar here. That's enough about the specs. Here's 5 more sound samples. every video because I find it a little bit amusing. It's not really, but doing this next part to appease the internet. I'm trying to prevent tears from forming themselves into comments. It is beneficial, so we are going to play this in clean. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do volume and tone at 10, then I'm going to switch to volume at 8, tone at 10, then volume at 8, tone at 8, and then volume at 8 and tone at 5. And then I've always found it's more beneficial to hear how a pickup reacts to a little bit of like light drive. So I'll do the exact same thing, but with light drive. You always want to take a listen to the potentiometers and hear how they react, especially in a junior model because they're extremely important. So here's that. More than likely, you might be looking at either the SG Junior, even though it's discontinued, and the Les Paul Junior. There's definitely some differences here. Both are mahogany bodies, mahogany necks. This is definitely a lot thicker body, and the neck is the club-size neck, so the baseball bat 50s, whereas this is the slim taper. But they both have dog-ear P90s and the same tuners and orange strap capacitors. So just take a listen to, like, you know, a simple comparison here. also be curious to hear what the Junior sounds like against the Special here. Now, obviously, the Special has a neck pickup, so we do have volumes for each pickups and tones for each pickup. They have 2 orange drop capacitors rather than just the one, and we do have a bound rosewood neck as opposed to an unbound rosewood neck. So here's a simple comparison. Of course, it's only natural to be curious on what the Junior sounds like against the SG Standard 61. Now, I do have a comparison video that is on YouTube, so if you want to take a look at that, just search for it. You'll find it. It's a little more in depth. There's definitely a heck of a lot more weight here. Still has the slim taper neck, mahogany body and everything, but there's a lot more to this guitar than this guitar here. And there's definitely a heavily noticeable weight difference. And as well, we have a bound rosewood fretboard, and this time around we have the trapezoid inlays and the regular vintage tuners. So here's a simple comparison between both of these guitars. Alright, so now that we've done all of the different sound samples and all the, like, you know, curious comparisons between like guitars, it is at this point in the video where I do like to talk about whether or not I think this is a good guitar. And yes, this is a fantastic guitar. Juniors, they're always described as the same thing. They're rockers. What that means is you don't necessarily properly discover the volume and tone controls unless you are forced to when it comes to a Les Paul Junior or an SG Junior. Of course, you can. However, it's more important because guess what? You don't have a neck pickup, so you make adjustments here. And getting a Junior, I found, has made me a better player, especially when it comes to, you know, using the volume control. And you know, when you talk about orange drop capacitors or bumblebees or whatever, most people don't ever use the capacitor because they generally just have the tone all the way. When it comes to playing with a Junior, you really do discover the benefits of certain types of capacitors. So that's just an added bonus. And it is really weird to say that I have a lighter SG than normal, because I have quite a few SGs, but this one right here, which is a little dusty, this one right here is definitely lighter than all of the other ones. And it's just really comfortable. And when you're going from, say, like the SG Standard to the SG Standard 61, yes, you feel a difference. However, it's not as much when you're going from an SG Standard 61 or even an SG Standard or an SG Special to an SG Junior, because you really do notice when you're picking and where you're picking, because there's no neck pickup here. So it looks like your string height is really off, even though it isn't. The lightning bar here is something that a lot of players do love. I have a weird thing with it. It's not that I don't like it. It's just I do prefer the non-compensated, or just like the Music City bridge, where that is compensated, but it doesn't have like the little bars or whatever here to represent the saddles. Just because every now and then you'll find that, like when you're doing a lot of bending, the string will it'll move. It moves a lot more on the compensated and non-compensated, but it's not as noticeable. And every now and then, like if you're playing it acoustically, you do feel that string go ping, and it's because it's moved a little on the bridge. That's not as noticeable if you're not playing leads, or if you're not doing stupid bends, because, you know, we're all obsessed with Buddy Guy, and well, just listen to Buddy Guy. No one bends like him. But that is just kind of one of those idiosyncrasies, or whatever you want to call it, that you just notice every now and then, and you kind of remember. It's not unpleasing to play by any stretch of the imagination. This is a fantastic guitar, but it is something that, when I look at it, I always wish it didn't have the lightning bar and it had the non-compensated. But I've been told I'm absolutely insane, because a lot of people do prefer the lightning bar over the non-compensated because it helps with intonation. And the oval bean tuners here, I love them. A lot of people, for some reason, they look at it and it's smaller than the regular like tulip size tuners, or whatever you want to call them. So a lot of people are a little scared when they look at the tuners, because they think that for some reason that, you know, they're flimsy or they're going to break or something like that. They're just smaller, guys. It's the exact same tuners, just with different buttons. They work great. And yes, I am a nerd, because I did look up when I bought the SG Junior, I think it was like a 62 or a 63 is what came up, and there was one of them that actually had the Les Paul and the truss rod cover. There was one that actually had Les Paul Junior, I think it said, right here as well. So I did get a Les Paul truss rod cover. It's not the historic one, but it still set me back a couple of bucks. But as always, when it comes to juniors, you're always going to hear them referred to as rockers. And everyone always has that warm and fuzzy experience with them, because really, you're a better player after you've owned a junior. Generally, right? Because you're forced to correct things or change things to get the sound that you want. And there are times where, when you first get it, you think, I am never going to get the sound that I want out of it, until it all clicks, and then you can get just about any sound that you want. Juniors as well, it's one of those guitars that you're really going to, not just the tone, but you're really going to learn a lot on the volume. So that's, I think, really where I learned how to properly get a clean tone that's not really bad. When your amp's actually on, like, the drive channel. And then from there, it really is one of those things where it can captivate people, I guess you could say. Probably the wrong word, but really surprise people by playing really clean and then just pulling it up all the way to stun, and then you're ripping people's faces off because you got a junior and there's a lot of gain in your amp. It just works really well. So, as I said, it is a good guitar. It's a fantastic guitar. And I'm going to be doing a few more comparison videos with this. I'm definitely going to do one against the SG Special and another one against the Les Paul Jr. I don't think I'm going to do one on the Maestro, because I already have one on the SG Standard 61. So, yeah, take a look out for those. Thanks for watching.